Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started.
All right, welcome to episode 107. That's right, 107. I don't really have a story about the number 107. I don't even have a story about like a radio station, 107. I've never made it that far to the right of the dial. I feel like 107 was usually like, music that was catered towards parents when I was like, hot and heavy with my music. And even now that I'm a parent, it's not the type of music that I would like to listen to as a parent. It's just like this bizarre purgatory of music that far to the right. Now, if you go to the left of the dial, that's where you get, or at least you used to get, a lot of the college radio stations, and that they used to play the music that I was more a fan of, like alternative music. All right, it doesn't matter. The point is, I don't have anything other than the fact that 107, this episode, 107, is 7 ways to make your running more fun. That's right, 7. It might be 7. I mean, I've written down 7. I may kind of go rogue, and it may end up being like 8 or 9 or 10 or 12. It may just end up being 7. In fact, I may find halfway through the episode, 2 of these aren't as fun as I thought, and I'm just going to make it 5. And you're going to be like, I feel ripped off, and I apologize. But the point is, at least now, here at the beginning, it's supposed to be 7 ways to make your running more fun. And the reason for this is pretty simple. There's always a reason to make your running more fun. Because if you can make your running more fun, then you should make your running more fun. And I believe we never get to a point where we're like, that's it. Running is as fun as it can possibly be. I think there are new ways to run, new places to run, new types of running that you can do, new people you can run with. There's so many different ways you can change the way you run, which means if you can change something, there is at least a possibility that it's going to be different, right? In a more positive way, a potentially more fun way, which means you can always make your running more fun, or at least potentially make your running more fun. And that's what we're trying to do here today. Now, we're at a point where people are starting training for fall marathons, or people are in between seasons. So maybe they finished outdoor track and they're about to start summer training for cross country. You have a lot of people that start running again in anticipation of the summer months. Or, let's be honest, the summer months are basically here. So it's the summer months and you like to run. Maybe you had some time off from sickness or due to injury. And you're trying to figure out okay, how can I make my running more fun? Because I'm in the midst of it, I've been doing it. Or I'm starting back up and I want my running to be more fun. It doesn't matter what the motivation is for you wanting to make your running more fun. The point is, we can make your running more fun. And I'll tell you this, it should be a motivation you always have to try to make your running more fun. It should be something that's always there. I know as runners, we tend to focus on, I want to get better at running, and we equate better at running with running faster, running further, running tougher, more hardcore. I love all of those goals. They're all great. But there are so many other goals that we can have. One of them can be, I want to have more fun running and achieve all those other things. How cool is that? I want to get faster and have more fun running. I want to be able to run further and have more fun running. That's awesome. So I would add that to your goals. If you're somebody who likes to write goals down, write down, have more fun running. And hopefully this episode helps. All right, my first idea here, is crazy races. And I know not everyone races, but just hear me out. And for those people who race a lot, hear me out. Because I'm not talking about the 5K. I'm not talking about, the classic stuff that I would normally say, which is, hey, if you normally do road races, I want you to try running on the track. Or if you normally race on the track, I want you to hit the trails and race on the trails. All of those things, awesome. I am in some ways talking about that, or maybe I should say I've already talked about that. What I'm talking about are crazy races. I'll give you an example. Like me personally, I'm never ever going to run a faster mile. I'm never ever going to run a faster 5K. I'm never ever going to run a faster 10K, and on and on and on. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to set a personal best measured by time for those distances. But here's the thing. Outside of my front door, I have this circular block, okay? There's a little bit of a rise if I go to my left, if I start that way, which is the way in my head I'm thinking of starting this race. So I go to the left, slight rise, it levels out. Then there's another little hill when I make a right, and then there's a downhill that leads to another right turn, and now a downhill straightaway back to the start. That's my loop in my neighborhood. I've never actually tried to run it all out. I've never raced this loop. There's an opportunity for me to go out there tonight and set a personal best on that loop. There's an opportunity for me if I really wanted to. I mean, why not mix it up? I would imagine it's probably like 600 meters, I would guess, somewhere between 600 and 700 meters. So I could train all summer to try to set a series of personal bests on that loop. I mean, that could be my entire focus for the summers. Like every 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to race. I could have one of my daughters pace me. They're way faster than me now. They could, if they don't even want to run next to me, they could bike next to me. I could have a rabbit. How cool is that? There are so many different things I could do to try to keep setting personal bests on this upper loop. And when I feel like, whew, that was intense, I got everything out of me, that's awesome, I can chill out and I can pick a different block. There's a road near me. I've brought this up a couple of times on guided runs and in this podcast. That is like a 1,200 meter uphill road. And it's kind of got switchbacks and everything. It's a wild road. And I've told you, I've thought about racing up it. I haven't done it yet, but I could do it. And I could revisit it as much or as little as I want to. But it's something I could do and say, wow, I've never done that better than I just did it. Or I could say, you know what? I did that better a month ago, and I just cratered today. I bombed today. This was not a great race for me up this hill. That's okay too. That's part of the fun of racing. It's not just the fun is about success. The fun should also be about the potential for, the possibility of failure. That's where the nerves come in. But what happens to us in this sport, especially for those of us that raced a lot, maybe when we were younger, and we set these personal bests, these times that basically become etched in stone. My mile time is etched in stone. I'm never going to run faster. Obviously, I can run a better mile, but it's not going to be a faster mile. But I could run a crazy mile uphill and say, that's the fastest I ever did that uphill mile. That's the fastest I ever did that trail loop. That's the fastest I ever did my neighborhood loop. I can do that forever. The only thing I need to do is continue to find new places, new distances, new courses, new routes, new challenges. I can do that. I want this to be a lifelong sport. I love racing. And I don't mind racing a mile and not setting a personal best. So I'm beyond that. But if you are someone who says, you know what, maybe it's not as engaging racing a distance where you have a personal best that you're not going to run faster than, that's okay. That's fine. So, all right. Let's put on our little imagination caps. Do you guys remember that? Growing up like in middle school, when your teachers would say, put on your imagination caps, which, by the way, if you think about it, was brilliant. Because the kids who really got invested in the exercise knew what they were doing. They were like, all right, they grabbed their cap, which, by the way, was imaginary. They put it on their head. You usually had like a little string that you would tie underneath your chin because you want that imaginary cap to stay on. And if you really had a great imagination, your imagination cap wasn't like invisible. It was like decked out. it was razzle dazzled, you know what I mean? Or bedazzled, you know what I mean? I don't know if, actually when I was little, I don't think the bedazzler was invented yet. But the point is, you had stuff on there. Mine, I think, had like little wings, like kind of Greek god type wings on the side. Anyway, the point is, put on your imaginary caps. No, not your, well, they are imaginary caps, but they're imaginary imagination caps. Well, are they imaginary if they're real to you? That's a question. There's a philosophy question. We just got deep. The point is, think of some cool places, distances, challenges you can take on to just mix things up and keep the fun in your running. So if you've got a route, awesome. And by the way, if you've got like a really cool route like this hill that I've got, I should map it and just let at least people know in the Portland, Beaverton area, like, hey, this is a cool hill. You should run it. Because I think it's awesome if people go there and they blast really fast times. I am not, in any way feeling diminished if someone runs something super fast up that hill, faster than I run. I think it just increases the upside for everybody. I love it. So anyway, that's an idea. So crazy races. Think of some crazy races you could take part in. All right. I got another one. This one, I got to give credit to my daughter, Emma. I was talking to her right before I recorded this, and I said, hey, do you have any ideas for this? And she immediately said, yeah, destination runs. And I was like, yeah. And then she went, no, just, she just kept talking in my head. I was like, yeah, but what do you mean by that? She was like, do you have a really cool coffee shop you want to go to? Is there a great restaurant you want to go to? Maybe a bookstore? Is there somewhere you want to see? And you just run to it. And then you get there. Maybe you meet friends there. Maybe you walk home. Maybe it turns into a run back on the way back. So now there's a bit of a challenge. Or maybe, as she put it, you take public transportation home. Because I was thinking Uber, and I was like, why spend the money on Uber if there's public transportation? She's 100% correct. I thought, wow, that's a great idea. What a wonderful excuse to go to a farmer's market, to go to a secondhand store where you can go in there and find, I love secondhand stores. I just absolutely love thrift shops and places like that. Or you want to meet someone to get a bite to eat, and you end there. Maybe they even give you a ride home. Maybe they meet you there too from a run. The point is, it doesn't always have to be a run that starts from one place and ends at that same place. You can end somewhere else and then find your way back to where you need to be. But there is also a satisfaction of running somewhere instead of driving somewhere, taking a train somewhere, taking an Uber or a taxi somewhere. You powered yourself there. So maybe there's an opportunity for you to say, hey, I've been meaning to go and get a bite to eat at this place, or get a coffee at this place, or check out this thrift store. Maybe there's an opportunity to add in a little bit of fun and say, and I'm going to run there. I'm going to run there. There's something I think invigorating and powerful and badass about powering your own transportation. How cool is that? And whether or not you power your own transportation back to where you need to be, that's up to you. The point is, you will have gotten somewhere on your own, truly on your own. And I think that's pretty cool. So destination runs, another way to add some fun into your running. Now, I've said this next one a number of times, and I don't need to get into it ad nauseum, but hit the trails. Hit the trails. And I'm not just talking about the trails you normally run. Mix things up and run some different trails. In fact, there are some parks where you're allowed to go off trail. So obviously check that first and foremost. Make sure you're able to leave the trail. And if you're able to leave the trail, maybe blaze your own trail. Go rogue. Be careful, obviously, because if it's not a well-defined trail, there's the opportunity for it to have roots and divots and holes and all sorts of things. But, be careful. But hit the trails, whether they're classic trails that are marked or whether they're new trails that you're setting. Hit the trails at all times of year. There's something amazing about going out there in the wilderness, in the wild. And I know, there's a park down the road from me, and I'm calling it the wilderness and the wild. And at no point are you more than 1,000 meters from a home or a road. But just bear with me. Even 1,000 meters away is still 1,000 meters away, where the birds are going to be a little bit louder, the squirrels are going to be a little bit more obnoxious, and good for them as well, they should. And you're a little bit further away from civilization. Because I'll tell you what, even 1,000 meters away, like I said, is 1,000 meters away, and it's good for you. It's good for your soul. It's good for your heart, and it's fun. It's fun. Running trails can be fun. Remember, base law of this on effort. If you're supposed to have an easy run easy. And that's one of the other benefits of running a trail is GPS has a hard time following you, which is an excuse for you to not follow the GPS, meaning not worry about the pace and the distance. Go out there and just run. Run for the duration. I'm going to go out and I'm going to run for 40 minutes. All right, go run for 40 minutes. Don't worry about, well, it's got to be 6 miles. Well, the GPS may not follow you. And 6 miles and, the wilderness or just the place down the road may end up being 8, which is why GPS can kind of screw with you. It giveth and it taketh away. But hit the trails and have some fun. I will tell you this. Another good thing to do is when you're out there on the trails is maybe, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can believe I'm saying this because it's the right thing to say, leave your headphones behind. You don't need to listen to me. You don't need to listen to your music. Maybe just listen to nature. Listen to the creek. Listen to the leaves rustling. Listen to your footfalls on the gravel path. Listen to that. It is really good for you. It's proven that it's good for you, that it helps with your stress, it helps with your blood pressure, it releases endorphins, it calms you down, it brings clarity. Nature is your friend. So hit the trails. Okay, another one that I think would be really good are goal runs. Now, I think I mentioned this is in a guided run. Maybe it was in a podcast. I don't remember. I went on a run years ago. I mean, this may have been 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I don't remember, maybe even longer. Time starts to get funky and warped after a certain period of time. But anyway, the point is I went for a run and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep running until I wave X amount of times. And I don't remember how many it was. Maybe it was like 50 waves or 40 waves. I don't remember. The run went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go because at one point I just didn't see anybody. So I was stuck at let's say I had to do 40 waves and I was stuck at 27 for a while. And I'm like, I need to go to a much more populated portion of this run because I'm going to be running forever. But even that was kind of fun. I would get on a new part of the trail and I'd be like, there's got to be somebody here. And there'd be nobody. And I would just start laughing. And I'd be like, all right, I'm going to get on a road. Nobody. Or maybe I saw somebody in a distance and then they made a quick left and I got down there and they were gone. I was like, come on. But it was really fun. So you can have these goal runs where you're like, I'm going to run until, or I'm going to do this until. So for instance, the first person I see, I'm going to say hello and then I'm going to pick things up. And I'm not going to back off until I see another person and say hello to them. By the way, it doesn't matter if they say hello back. I'm not one of those people who feels like if I wave to you, you have to wave back to me. I think that's silly. Relax. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So this is, again, just a little PSA, all right, little public service announcement. If you're waving to people and they don't wave back, don't get offended, okay? Again, we have no idea what other people are going through or what they're comfortable with. So if you send a wave out, it should be a selfless act. Here's a wave. I hope it helps. If it does, fantastic. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it for someone else. I'm just throwing that in there. If you do the wave game, I wasn't counting how many people waved back. I was counting just how many waves I was giving. Long story short, think about it. Maybe it's, how many babies you see. Maybe it's how many playgrounds you pass. Maybe it's how many slugs you see on the trail, which in Portland, there are slugs everywhere. So you're kind of constantly looking at the trail, which is different. There's all sorts of things you can do for goal runs. So it's not about running this far. It's not about running for this duration. It's about something else, which can be a lot of fun because you don't know how short or long the run is going to be. So have a goal run. That's an opportunity to make things fun. All right, another one I think is great and it's underused, even though they're super popular right now, is run with run clubs and run crews, run with friends, run with your teammates, run with people. It's a great way, one, to be around other people. Community is important. It's absolutely important. Relationships are super important. One of the most important aspects at least I took out of Castaway, which is a great movie with Tom Hanks, is the fact that Wilson, the volleyball, is one of the reasons why he survived. Because he had a relationship with someone. He had connection with someone. And yes, I know I'm talking about a volleyball being someone, but to him in the movie, it was someone. It was a relationship. It was someone that he could speak to, that he could talk to, that he could be vulnerable with, that he could ask of. That is important. That's just community. And you need that. If you want to be great at anything, you need that, and you need it in running. And if you want your running to be more fun, well, be vulnerable and take a risk on a run club or a run crew. You don't have to go back a second time, but maybe you want to. Maybe you want to. You're not going to know whether you want to go back a second time unless you've gone a first time. So be open to run crews, run clubs. Be open to group runs. Be open to exploring your neighborhood. Be open to exploring your city. Be open to exploring new ways of running with other people. Because that run in your neighborhood, that run in your city, that interval workout that you've been doing alone, it's a different experience when you're doing it with people, and it may just in fact be more fun when you're with more people. So run crews, run clubs, give it a shot. All right, another one, again, my daughter Emma coming up with this silly little game is, I'm just going to call it the letter game. So as you pass people, you have to instigate a quick hello with a letter of the alphabet. So it starts with A. You know what I mean? So it might be like, all right, nice to see you, as you run by. You don't have to, you're not engaging in anything other than just this sentence. The next person you see, you have to start the sentence with a B, like, boy, you look fantastic today, or best run ever, right? I mean, whatever. By the time you get to like Z, she came up with a great one. You can't steal it though. She was like zooming right on by, just like, I was like, wow, that's brilliant. I was like, the only word I know is xylophone, and that's not even a Z. So the point is, that's a fun one that'll take your mind off the run. It'll keep your mind engaged. And you have to think up these things as you go. And the run isn't over until you pass 26 people. Unless you say, I'm going to do it until I get to F. Or I'm going to do it until I get to R. Or something like that. You can decide. But the point is, it's going to keep you engaged. It's going to keep you motivated to use that mind. And it's going to keep you out there until you pass enough people where you're saying this to. So choose wisely when you're doing it. Because, again, you got to pass enough people. You could be running for days, depending on where you're running it. But I thought that was kind of a fun thing. And obviously, you can come up with games like this. You can come up with ways to make the run about something other than distance and duration. All right. I think this is the last one, unless I've mistakenly forgotten. But and this is a little bit in honor of the latest guide to run, which showed up in the app, which is the super easy run, is run super easy. Run super easy. First of all, it won't be easy to do. Most people run too hard, even when they're told to run super easy. So this is a challenge, but once you get the rhythm of being like, okay, now I'm running like super easy on my easy run, it takes so much of the pressure off the run. It's amazing. Honestly, it is mind-blowing just how relaxed a run can be when you allow yourself to be relaxed on the run. Now, some of this is going to be you dealing with your ego. All right? That's straight up. Like some of it's going to be dealing with your ego because you're like, no, I'm not running that slow. That's not even real running. And this goes for all runners. I don't care if you're out there running 14-minute pace and you're like, I'm not running 15-minute pace, or somebody running 6-minute pace and they're like, I'm not running 7-minute pace. Like, get over yourselves. Oh my gosh. The amount of fun and joy and progression we rob ourselves of by being so serious about such stupid stuff. Like, just relax. My gosh. It's not that serious. And believe me, I spent years of my life racing at a very, very competitive level. I coached where the goals were national championships. That was the goal. There wasn't a secondary goal. Like the foundation was, we're going to try to win the national championship this year. And I still understood that to achieve these things, I better be having fun. Like as an athlete, I better be enjoying this. And that's not saying I had to rob myself of being serious or that I lost focus because I was having fun. No. You don't have to diminish any of those things. You're not less disciplined because you're having fun. You're not less serious because you're having fun. That's nonsense. I will tell you this, though. You may be too rigid because you're too serious. You may be too inflexible because you're too serious. And you may be without joy, without love, without all of the essential ingredients you need if you become too serious about this sport. So inject some fun into your run, and you will have a better chance at running your best. So one of the ways you can do that is by just running ridiculously easy. I didn't say slow, by the way. I said ridiculously easy. Too many of you equate easy with slow. Slow is not an effort, all right? Easy is an effort. So just remember, when you're running super easy, it's an effort that I'm asking for as a coach. Don't start looking at the numbers on your watch. I don't care about that. Did it feel super easy? Okay, then we did the right thing. And what you're going to find is you can have an awful lot of fun out there when you're super relaxed, running a super easy run. So take it easy every once in a while and just have some fun out there on a run. And that's it. I'm pretty sure that was 7. I'm almost positive it was 7. I'm not going to count because I don't think it really matters. Whether it's 6 or 7 or 8, you got some ways to make your running more fun. And I hope you take advantage of it. And if you do take advantage of it, I hope you share with me how you took advantage of it and what the impact was on your running. All right? So yeah, I want some feedback. I want to know what you used. That's all. Send me a DM, hit me up on Threads, whatever you want, but let me know. Maybe you could put it in a review because you should be rating and reviewing. Please rate and review. Come on, people. Rate and review the app. Share the app with friends. And thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Now, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I'll meet you on the next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and Nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.